Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to what I'm sure is going to be another incredible episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Hence the sarcasm. No?
I mean, there might be a little bit of sarcasm there. We are exhausted.
On a scale of 1 to 10, exhausted, 10 being the highest amount, where are you right now?
I'm about a 10.1.
Well, 13.7. My goodness.
Why are you so tired, Aric?
I don't know, Angie. I do. So last night, it's Saturday.
Today's Saturday.
Today. We never record podcasts this late in the week. This has to drop tomorrow. And we're a
little bit behind. Yeah,
we were going to record yesterday. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we have no kids this weekend, which is supposed to be a chill weekend, right? But then Summer messages me and says, hey, will you take me and a couple of my girlfriends to Fear Fest, this haunted house attraction here in mid-Missouri? And I'm not going to tell my bonus daughter no. I want to show up for all my kids. So I go with them. It was a 5+ hour experience. Let's just say I would never, ever go again to Fear Fest.
I would say we were all clueless. Like I knew. So most of the time I do a lot of research or I'm, buying tickets in advance. This week was so crazy that I never really had a chance to think about it, except I do know people have talked about waiting in lines for a long time. So the only kind of guidance I had was we should probably just get there early. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. It's not my thing. Vertigo issues. I know they always have crazy lights, strobe lights, and that was not going to be good for me. So I'm like, I'll just hang out in the car. I have plenty of work to do on my laptop, and we'll just get there early.
Yeah, we did. We were there at 7:15. It started taking tickets at 7.
Yeah, opened up at 7.
We didn't go through the first attraction until 11:30, and there were 4 attractions. I mean, it was miserable.
Ridiculous.
So, didn't get to bed till after 1. And then I had to get up early this morning because I had to do some things for work. And so we're exhausted, absolutely wiped. But at the same time, podcast life. Got to go, honey.
How do we have time?
Got to do it. Got to knock it out. So that's where we're at right now. And the main topic of this podcast is going to be mini husband, mini wife syndrome. That's the big topic.
And
we're going to cover the things, but that's the big topic.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking, what the hell is that? You're not alone. I did not know what it was either until I started reading about it. And I could see some things in that kind of description that resonated with me. So we'll dive into that.
Yeah. So it's like at times when you start to let your kids be your mini spouse. So we will talk about that. But the week has been fun and interesting. And, last year was the first year that we got involved with our children being a part of a thing at church where they do baskets for kids that need
foster
homes.
Kids.
Foster kids. Thank you. And so last year we went out and we had Carter and Dane do a basket, Summer and Chase, and it was kind of like a competition, like who's going to be around budget, who's going to get great things, who's going to put the most thought into it, yada, yada, yada.
Well, we shared this on a podcast, how at the end of it, Chase and Summer were the winners for the most part because Carter and Dane, it was kind of the first time they've done something like that. They didn't spend all the way up to their budget. They had money left over, so they just bought themselves some candy and soda or something. We're like, well, no.
I was like, whoa.
You could have actually purchased more for the foster kids. So this year.
Massive fail. They immediately lost the competition.
They lost. They're done. You're done. So this year, it was kind of like, again, crazy life. And it was actually Carter that was like, hey, we got to do the foster kid shopping this week. So it ended up being like we were running kids everywhere. 3 of the kids had training. athletic training. Carter had practice. So we're all like meeting up at a Walmart at 8:30, quarter till 9. So the teams were a little bit different. Chase and Dane finished their athletic training at the same time. So Eric's like, I'm going to take them to Walmart so they can start shopping. And then Summer finished up hers and met up with Carter. So the teams this year were Chase and Dane and Carter and Summer. And I don't think you know this, but Chase and Dane are the clear winners. But do you know why?
No, I don't. Okay. And I'm scared to know why.
You should be scared. You'll be super stoked about why they lost. Sarcastic. So Aric leaves. He's starving, so he goes and gets something to eat. I roll in, and Chase and Dane, when he had dropped him off, you gave him the guidelines, right?
Here's the guidelines.
Here's the budget, $90. $90 is your budget. Stay within it. And so they did very well. They stay within their budget. So they're coming out about the same time Carter and Summer are coming out. And Summer comes, they come up to my car, and they're like, that was a little bit expensive. I said, well, did you stay within budget? And they're like, well, what budget?
Did you not tell them the budget?
I mean, they got out. I didn't see Carter. I mean, they went in, didn't really explain that there was a budget. I made the assumption that they knew that was a parameter from last year. Never even crossed my mind that I should give them a budget. So,
okay.
You want to guess how much they spent? Like, why wouldn't they even ask? They didn't even ask if we have a limitation.
I mean,
$160.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Chase and Dane, you're the winners.
Okay.
They didn't even ask if they needed to stay within a budget.
I mean, not only that, I would say it felt like Chase and Dane put more time into it. Because even Carter and Summer, we just blazed through it and knocked it out.
Chase and Dane had a blast doing it. Actually, they were like, we were on a mission. We were telling people at Walmart that we were on a mission, and we were acting silly going through the halls, and they did good. They did a great job. So
at the end of the day, all 4 kids helped other kids in need.
They did.
But Dane and Chase get the victory this year in
That's right.
foster kid.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's how it went. So, okay, interesting.
See, it's always learning. Next time I'll know to be very, very clear.
And then one other thing that happened this week, Hallie got contacts, and she's 20 years old. She's had glasses. She's needed contacts. She's been scared to do it. And I took her and Summer to the eye doctor a couple weeks ago.
Again, our male nanny, doing all the running.
I mannied up. I took the girls, and they said, we're scheduled for an hour because we don't know how long it'll take you to get them in. And so I've tried to explain to her that for me, I remember 25 years ago getting contacts. It was hard to get them in. I struggled. And so she was kind of scared too. But, you do what you do, and that is you start sharing memes and things like how we can do hard things. And she did it. She did very well.
She did, yeah. I mean, we both happened to be at home before her appointment and was chatting with her. And she's like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, well.
She was freaking out.
If you tell yourself that you don't think you can do it, then you're not going to. But a bazillion people have contacts. Your little sister has contacts. You just need to go in there with the mindset that you're badass and you can do it and you'll figure it out. And her appointment was at 12:30, and 12:40 she texts and said, I got him in, and
onward and upward.
Yeah. So some little coaching there, and just fun to see your kids take on challenges, even if they're small.
I've had to have
and overcome their fears.
Yeah, I've had to have many conversations with Dane this week about you got to push yourself. I'm going to push you. Angie's going to push you. We push you because it makes you bigger, faster, better, stronger. I think Kanye said that. Bigger, faster, better, stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Something like that.
So, but, that's what it is. When you choose the hard, you can do those things. So that's good. Now, you right now are wearing an absolutely beautiful necklace.
Oh, that's another highlight from this week. Do you ever just have an idea and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing idea?
No, I don't have that.
Well,
no,
I do.
That's you.
I do. Every once in a while I get some amazing ideas, but I'll share a little backstory. So when I got married, obviously you get a diamond ring. So my first marriage got a diamond ring, and then at our 15-year wedding anniversary, got a upgraded diamond ring, but still kept my original one. And so we decided that, and then my husband at the time also has a men's diamond ring. So we decided that each one of the kiddos would get a diamond ring. So Summer was going to get my original ring. Hallie was going to get the second ring. But that original ring has just been sitting in my drawer for like 7 or 8 years. Another day it hit me. It's like, okay, if that's going to go to Summer, then let's just, she's not going to want the actual ring. Let's go figure out something we can do with that. So her and I went to a local jewelry store, Betts Jewelers, and just met with them, talked about kind of what we were thinking. And we decided to put the diamond in a necklace. But then the ring had like a lot of gold on it. And so we were talking to the jeweler about like, what do you do with that? He's like, well, I can give you credit, or we can melt that gold down. A lot of people do like a little round kind of pendant on a necklace. It's got a hammered look and just put your initials on it. So anyway, so Summer and I decided we would each do a necklace with our initials on it. And it's just so, I love like
looks really cool.
It's super classy, simple. She loves it. I love it. But it's just it's a connection point for her and I, and just such a meaningful thing that we did together. So just super stoked about that. Now the diamond necklace, that's going to be very limited on when she wears it.
Yeah, already today. She's like, why can't I wear that? Well, because you're going to a crowd of about 60,000 people from a zoo homecoming, and you can wear it tomorrow to church. That's really where it is. Yeah.
So it's been a crazy week. We've had some definite cool highlights, and also just we're tired.
Yeah. So let's talk about today's topic. Mini wife, mini husband syndrome. WTF, what is that? And when you realize what it is, you're like, oh. And if you're in a blended family, you're like, oh, yeah, I get this.
Yeah, I ran across this article, and that was the title. And literally it said, WTF is that? So I was curious, and just reading it, I think a lot of times, and I've had a lot of people share this with me, is that when you bring families together, a lot of times as that step parent or bonus parent, you feel like an outsider, like you feel like you're coming into something that's already together, and it's challenging to find your place. On the flip side, I feel like when people go through divorce, you all of a sudden become a laser focus on your kids, and sometimes your kids can then sort of take that place of a spouse. And so if you have that situation, and then now you're trying to blend a family, you've got your partner coming in, and you're trying to figure out, what the heck's my role? That role's already taken by a kid.
And I think that's fair. It happened, I think, for both of us.
Yes, there's definitely some similarities. I think you naturally, maybe this isn't for everybody, but I feel like, and tell me if this happened to you, but like after I got divorced, I'm like on my own trying to raise single parent, raising kids. I kind of stepped into that guilt-based parenting a little bit.
Yes, you did.
When
I met you were full on guilt-based.
And I think it's maybe more moms than it is dads. I don't know. At least for me, it was the situation where you felt so bad for your kids. Like you felt bad that they're in that situation and they're afraid and there's unknowns and they're going back and forth to houses, that maybe you discipline them or parent them differently because you feel bad that they're in that situation. And so, I mean, you had a little bit that. I don't think you maybe were like guilt-based parenting, but I do feel like...
Yeah, I feel like Lexi kind of filled a role of a mom that she didn't necessarily need to fill, but she did, and I let it happen. And then when you and I met, like you were more guilt-based, like, well, I want them to have a good time every time they're here. I don't want things to be bad. And so
I wanted to try to protect them from struggles and help create a happier vibe for them.
And meanwhile, I was like, yeah, okay, Lexi, if you want to kind of lead the charge with the boys, that's fine. But really, that's not healthy either. It wasn't healthy for her. And, just not healthy overall for anybody. So it's a real thing. Like it's actually something that you need to be aware of if you are going through divorce, and then especially if you start to date again, because that's when it gets like weird, right?
Well, it gets weird because I feel like then your kids struggle too. They don't know necessarily like, oh, here's someone coming in and now they're trying to take a role. Like I saw it in Chase, like reading this article. I'm like, oh my God, he felt like he's the man of the house, 5 years.
Yeah, he's mini husband.
No dude in our, and even little things. Like I will never regret the time that I had with my kids solo, because our like deep conversations that I have with my kids, we would always, every night we'd snuggle in my bed, we watch TV, we talk about our day, all of that. And half the time they just fall asleep in my room. I'm like, oh, I don't care, And so then when I knew we were getting more serious and was probably going to blend our families, like, yeah, this probably won't fly. Yeah. They're probably going to have to sleep in their own bed. Yeah. I mean, that's like just one example of parenting. I know a lot of people do that even when you're together, but like, that's just one small example of transition. And then take it on a much larger scale. If you have a kid that thinks they're like in more of a leadership role than what a kid should probably be, then you bring someone else in and start establishing that role. It is challenging. And I think it happens a lot. And then that step parent feels like a complete outsider, not the partner role.
I think it happened for sure with Chase. It happened for sure with Lexi. And I'm sure in other situations too, but they both felt, at that point, like Lexi was the woman of the house, Chase was the man of the house. And he's the oldest boy, she's the oldest girl. It makes sense, right? But it's not healthy for them because they should just be able to be a sibling. And then also they should be able to enjoy the fact that they have a family and they don't have to be in charge of something at such a young age.
Well, yes. And I would say what also I think ends up happening in that situation too is when then the new partner comes in, the mindset is they're losing something, like losing a status, losing a role, losing authority versus flipping it and more they're gaining a bonus parent, gaining, a bigger family. It just depends on the lens. So if you can keep it more balanced, then when you do try to blend families, maybe there's less contention. There's always going to be contention though, because it's hard and scary. So if you're wondering, am I living in that type of situation? Like, how would you identify if it's a mini wife or mini husband syndrome?
How would you identify? Yes, tell me more.
Well, I think that there's initially is a sense of entitlement, right? That they should always take first place in your life. I think, and then probably the healthy relationships, kids know that they're second, although that's so cringy for me to say because I think you immediately go into, when you go through divorce, like you immediately put your kids first and you're it. And I think part of that's fear-based too, of like, well, what if they don't like coming to my house anymore? What if they don't like me? And so you kind of go all in on your parenting. So if your kids have this kind of sense of entitlement that they should be number one, that might be a little bit of a sign. Constant attention-seeking behavior, trying to distract you as the parent away from
Never seen
partner.
that.
Huh?
Never seen that.
Right.
None of our kids have ever done that. Okay, maybe a little bit, but
the constant kind of attention seeking. Hey, want your attention all the time.
And I think it's like they want to feel like they still know what their place is with you as their parent. And I get it, like that's hard, but what we're trying to instill in them is that, hey, you have this safe home here, and your parent loves you, and your bonus parent loves you. And so I do think, as we talked about several months ago with Lynn Roush, it takes years sometimes to establish that safety net for our kids when they're trying to figure out. So they can
relax. They don't have to go after all the attention because they know that they're in a safe home.
It's 100%. That's what it's at, right? Like, I'm safe, even though this isn't the home that I was used to for a long time. And now here we go. So, yeah, totally get that. Yeah. But they do attention seek to make up for it.
Right. Yeah. Another one is like expecting that they should be included in adult decisions. I don't know if I've seen that a ton. I mean, there's times where I feel like we ask for their opinion, but then ultimately we just end up having to make a decision if they can't agree. But I'm trying to think if I've seen.
I think that's something with this age.
Like, just in general.
Yeah. I don't know that it is even like divorced kids in
just
their
kids
family.
Being on pedestal.
I think so. Like, I don't know if you can remember, but my parents never let me be a part of a decision.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit about my input. Okay.
Right.
I'm guessing, knowing Kenny and Alice, they didn't give a shit about any of your input, the seven of you.
There was no decisions to make because we didn't go anywhere.
Okay. But there was no decision to make. In my house, there was no decision. Now kids feel like You're going to change the furniture in my room? That should be my decision. What?
Yeah.
You're going to change the time we leave for school? That should be my decision. What? And so then you add in the fact that we have a blended family, and then they really feel entitled to start making more decisions. And that's a struggle. That's a struggle.
Yeah, totally. I mean, another kind of potential sign is if they assume some spouse-like roles within the household, like helping the parent get ready for work in the mornings, which might seem a little bit odd, or taking on like a parenting role with a younger sibling and being that mama.
Driving to school, having tough conversations, all those things, for sure. Yeah.
There's parenting the actual parent, like if a child is trying to parent you.
Yeah, I don't handle that well.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to tell you, if that happens in our house, I shut it down pretty quick. I'm like, I got a lot more life experience than you.
Right.
I know that you mean well, but, and that's a big old but, like, we're not doing this. Like, I'm still the parent, you're still the child. Here we go.
Yeah. Another kind of signal that you might have a mini wife syndrome is like if a child is trying to make one-on-one plans with you as the parent and trying to exclude the other parent, which I don't know if we've necessarily had that situation, but I do think we went into this trying to make sure we don't lose sight of that one-on-one time. And that's maybe more me than you. I don't know. Like, I had a little bit of that fear, like, okay, we're going into a blended family and I have 3 kids and we're going into 6 kids. Am I going to miss out on time, focus time with my kids? I think that's just kind of a natural fear of the unknown. But I have not ever thought that since, like when we actually did blend. I feel like we spend a lot of time with the kids, whether it's taking them to gym, going to Cardinals games, where it's not focus time. Well, you know, the first year, though, you did every month do one-on-one time with the kids until their planning got a little crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
they came up with extravagant things to go do.
I feel like we're very intentional in the fact that we are a couple and we're a family, but we're also going to try to be intentional about the time we spend with the kids. So I think we do a good job of that, but I understand that every family could have a difficult time with that. It can be very much a struggle for sure.
All right. Now, what in the heck do you do about it if I've recognized some of those bullet points. So it's
a
like,
rewire, right? It's a rewire for you. It's
reset.
A rewire for me, for every child.
And I think it's knowing that it's going to be hard to unwire that and try to rewire the thinking.
Would it be great if it was like a computer, you just hard restart, just pull the plug in the back, wait 30 seconds, plug it back in?
That'd be nice.
That'd be awesome.
Should we just submit that?
Can we do that?
It wouldn't be bad.
We just hard restart.
Whoops, I messed up as a parent. I'm just going to hit a reset button.
Pull on the plug. We'll plug it back in 30
forget
seconds.
What just happened.
It's like Men in Black. Look right into this light.
That's right. So I think a lot of times this does affect the step parent, though, because they're trying to figure out their role and then they're kind of feel like they're being pushed away. But I think in that scenario, even if the child's trying to exclude you, I think having the poker face and just rolling with it and allowing some one-on-one time, making sure that the child has the one-on-one time with their parent, that I think is key. So they don't ever feel like you are trying to take them away, that they're not going to lose their time with their parent. I think that's probably
that is a really big thing I noticed, especially early on, was Chase felt like I was taking you away from him. So once we realized that wasn't the case, then everything got better. Right. But it was a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that. We've had that with other kids too, but that just always sticks out because we've talked about you're the devil and all that stuff with Chase. It was a period where he had to still know that while he wasn't the man of the house anymore, he had a very important role and it was never going to go away with you. And so, it's important for all kids in that regard.
I think sometimes it's why it's also overwhelming because you have to make sure that the biological family is still getting their one-on-one time. They don't feel like they're losing on that. Then you have to make sure you stay connected with your partner. And so that's making sure you have focus time, which we're not the best at that because it's so busy, but having just time to reconnect. So that's important. And then you also need to get to know and build relationships with your stepkids, your bonus kiddos. So making sure you have time with them to get to know them as well.
I think that might be the most important thing that we talk about today is the division of time among all things. Divide time for you and your spouse. Divide time for you and your children, the OGs.
The OGs.
Like your kids started calling that, but even my kids, I was like, you guys want the three of you want to hang out like OGs?
They're like, oh my God, this is the OGs.
And then also you want to spend that time with your bonus kids. So you've got the three divisions. You want to go 33%, 33%, 33%, whatever it is. And that's what you want to do. You want to divide the time.
Well, there's really a fourth. Then it's everybody together.
Oh, God. 25, 25, 25, 25.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
You just blew my mind. I wasn't even thinking
And
about it.
then throw in sports and actual work. I mean, that's...
Stop it, Angela. Stop it, Angela. Stop it, Angela. I can't go. This is too much. Enough.
It's too much. It's a lot.
Ooh. Okay, well, I totally get it. But those are the things that we're dealing with. Those are the things that we're fighting. And that's not just us that are fighting it. That's why we have the community that we have, right? Is because if you're listening today, you're going through it too. You're trying to figure out, how do I balance the mini husband, mini wife syndrome, where I've got a son that thinks he's got to take care of mom. I've got a daughter that thinks that I'm going to, my dad's the world. I've got these kids that I want to spend time with because they're my biological kids. I've got these kids I want to spend time with because they're my bonus kids. How do you do it all? And it's very intentional. And I think even for us, like we talked about, we're exhausted because last night I took Summer to a haunted house. That's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was that my plan yesterday? No, it was not my plan. Our plan was to be in bed early last night.
Yeah.
We're exhausted right now, but you're intentional in what matters. And for me, what matters is you and the kids.
I think the other thing that people can easily lose sight of with all of the blended mess is it's not a competition. But damn, it could easily,
so good, honey. So
it could easily turn into a competition. Whether you're competing with your bonus kids or you feel like you're competing with the ex-husband or ex-wife or whatever, you have to just keep reminding yourself that this is not a competition. Because there's no equal part. Like, there's not a true fair game even, right? Like, everybody's situation's different. It's not, do not treat it like it's a win-lose type of situation, or you will lose, right? You just got to, be patient. It all takes time. Don't fuel the competition that is happening. Remove yourself from it. Be patient. Keep saying that.
This goes back to even just last Sunday morning sermon in church, where we're doing a series on the book of Daniel. And it's really patience. Like, there was a 20-plus year span where Daniel's not even really part of the Bible at that point. But God's already working in the background. And when it's time for him to come back into play, it's time. That happens for you and for me and for our kids and for you if you're listening in our everyday life. God's always working in the background. And so all we have to do is be patient and know there's a plan, know we're part of a bigger story. And that bigger story is going to lead to amazing things. But sometimes, a lot of times, we tend to think that we need what we want right then, right now. Give me the instant gratification. That's not so good. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. Patience, balance. I mean, we just talked about the 4 different focus areas, trying to find some sort of balance. And then I also feel like they're kiddos. They're going to have constant reassurance.
Grace.
That you're not going anywhere. I mean, I've told my kiddos that at the early stages, I'm not going anywhere. I'm always going to be here. I think that's critical. And it's not a one and done. Like, it's not a conversation you have one time. Like, over and over a bazillion times.
Right message, right number of times gets results.
Even to the stepkids, right? Like, I'm not trying to take your dad away. Right? And that constant reassurance that...
Oh, you've been telling the kids. I was telling yours that I've been trying to take you this whole time.
Yeah. Right. You probably would tell them that.
I'm kidding.
That's why it's taken so long. Mixed messages. They're so confused.
So it is very important. Balance matters, and continuing to drive that message home to your kids / bonus kids that, hey, this is still your mom. This is still your dad. I'm a bonus. Like, I've explained it to Hallie, like, I could be around for the next 40 years and we don't know what tomorrow brings. So I could be a very important part of your life. I'm not trying to take your mom away, but I am trying to be somebody that's added on into your life in a positive way. And that's the things that I think break down the walls of mini husband, mini wife.
Yeah. Don't try to fill the dad role or the mom
No,
role. I think we talked
no.
about that on a different podcast too. Of like, know your place, right? If you're the bonus parent coming in, you got to have patience. It's not a competition. Don't come in hot and try to be the.
Don't come in hot?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's on
Well,
me.
we talked about that. I mean, I think initially you did try to come in hot on, I'm parenting everybody the same. This is the way I am. And man, that.
Backfired a little bit.
It did backfire a little
As
bit.
The Rock would say, know your role, jabroni.
Is that like some wrestling thing?
The Rock. I mean, you know who The Rock is.
I know who The Rock is, but is that term, it's not from a movie, isn't
yeah,
it?
no.
Probably from
Know
wrestling.
your role, jabroni. That's what he would say.
I don't even know. What's Joe Brony?
That's a term that he had.
What does it even mean?
Means like dumbass.
First of all, I just wanted to make a statement here. I cannot handle watching WWF.
It's the E now because they had to get
sorry.
rid of the F for World Wildlife Federation. Now it's World Wrestling Entertainment, honey.
Oh, sorry. See, I didn't even know that. It's so fake. Should we get in this conversation?
No,
You're
this
trying
is
to
not.
wrap
We're
up.
wrapping up. Okay, we're wrapping up. But at the end of the day, you got to know your role, shut your mouth. That's what The Rock would say. Know your role, shut your mouth, jabroni. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the thing.
Dwayne Johnson, for those of you that like the actor, okay? But I was a Rock fan before he was really going by his real name, Dwayne. So that's where we're at with that. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you're dealing with mini wife syndrome, it's real. It happens. We've been there.
It just has a name.
It has
just
a name.
actually has a name.
And balance. That's where it's at. Okay, good stuff.
Let's take a nap.
I need a 12-hour nap
Okay.
that lasts throughout the overnight hours.
I'll race you upstairs.
Okay, I love you. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. We apologize. It is actually a mess this weekend. That's what happens when you
It's real life.
Real life, and we hope.
I have a big whiskey. Eric has a beer.
And we're going to
lights
bed.
out.
We're going to bed. Love you, all of you. We appreciate you listening. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.